Scram cats. Nope. Sorry. The dog took your anything, but look at him going. But the dog was there who lives kind of near the property. And competition for food, growling at the cats. Cats getting pissed off at the dog. It's an old dog. Okay, enough of that. Uh, Mike's Philippines retirement. Do the show, but it's not something that we, never heard before. Okay, so a repeat performance here, but some things have to be said. Yeah, and Mike's Philippine retirement, his last show, he's talking about how when people first come to the Philippines, it's pretty much, impressing the family, blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, that's a mistake most people make. But you know what? The bottom denominator I'm trying to put out here is that it seems like everybody's telling everybody not to move to the Philippines, but they're living in the Philippines. I have no problem living here. I like living here. I like the Philippines. I like the people. I mean, I have no problems with the personal people where I live, and as stated like 300 million times throughout the past 10 years on the format called YouTube, you're going to hear every vlogger's opinion. Hold on. Oh, hello, Brisket. You're going to hear every... Well, I seem to be vlogging lately, don't I? Wow, I must have too much time on my hands. Getting beyond that. Who doesn't? I know somebody has no time on his hands. I just went to a viewing today of a friend. His time is gone. Well, at least the bloke wasn't a fucking YouTuber. Yeah. Yeah, good guy, gone. But it seems to me that all these vloggers are trying to tell people, 10 or 20 reasons why not to live in the Philippines. Well, what are they still doing there? Get the fuck out if you don't like it. I like it here fine. I mean, things move slow out here. Yeah, that's for damn sure, but we all know that. We all know that. It's nothing new to anybody out here within the distance of hearing my voice. Every single show and everything is gossip. But it seems to me that the very people that started off liking the Philippines, as this other guy's show, was saying, oh, okay, now I'm going to be 71, he's saying, and starting to really realize that, his mortality, things are kind of like changing. He's hearing of, people dying off on YouTube. Well, that does happen, because a lot of people that are doing shows are actually retired. The rest are wannabes that can't make it here, but you know how that works. I'm not going to go into a whole soliloquy about that. I don't want to bore you to death because you know all about that shit. I don't think Philippines is a perfect place to live, but I think it's a good place to live. And why shouldn't it be if you don't bother anybody? Now, there's certain things that you can't prevent. For example, if somebody robs you or something like that. Yeah, it's a developing country. I think we all figured that out. Some people don't want to call it third world. Just call it a developing nation. To be fair about it, this way you don't have to give a label to everything, like, first world, second world, third world, and all that shit. Okay, let's call it what it is, a developing country. Okay, we all agree on that? Good. But as such, you're going to expect this. But, it's like, is it something new? How about in developed countries? There's a lot of that shit going on too. But, since you're involved in the Philippines, you want to talk about all the crap that goes on out here. There is a lot of crap, but it's not a bad place. It's a country that's kind of behind the times, that hasn't really caught up to, the Western culture, the Western world, infrastructure and all that stuff. I mean, it just hasn't caught up yet. Someday it will, and they won't be all dead by the time that happens, but nevertheless, it doesn't make the Philippines a bad place. I'm not just here. I mean, if it was just an honest question, would I be here? If it wasn't for my partner, well, that's what got me here. Okay, that's what keeps me here. But would I choose another place? I don't know. I can't. I have some ideas, but I don't know if there's any other country I feel comfortable in. I'm comfortable that they have you know, a reasonable amount of English, because that would be important to me, speaking English. Okay? And there's some foreigners that can't even speak English properly. But comparatively, I think to other nations that have a high poverty level, there are worse. I mean, Bangladesh, there's a lot of places that are so crowded that we feel smothered. And you might complain about like busy cities like Manila, Cebu, the crowds, the people, the cars, but although I've never been to India, I've seen enough about it to be able to have knowledge about it. And what I see in all the documentaries and everything else on India, boy, that's a crowded place, man. I mean, that's like really crowded, probably more than China. And I could right away tell you I could not handle that. I mean, there's no question about it. Too dirty, too crowded. Yeah. I know the Philippines has to put garbage cans out there, have more litter control and sanitation issues, drainage issues for irrigation, for water, for rain. The streets are like 4 foot high of water on a big rain, and kids are playing in it like it was spring water or something. And that's kind of a horrible sight to see, considering all the bacteria and all that shit in the water. But parents have to educate their kids like anywhere else in the world, and no junior, no Santos. You can't play in that water that's dirty. That's like sewer water. You get sick from that Santos, or whatever the kid's name is. Raphael or whatever. I don't give a shit what the kid's name is. Get your kids out of the goddamn water in the streets is what I say. Okay, that's a bugaboo of mine for sure. But other than shit that we're familiar with, Philippines is not a bad place to live. We get along marvelously with the people on our island, and we always have. I've had instances when I just lived the other house. Someone came in the house and they ripped off some stuff. But other than that, I mean, I've not had any confrontations with any Philippines people where I live. They're very friendly. They all know us. They don't have to know us by name, but they know us. And merchants at stores, people in restaurants I give business to. I could walk into a store and say I do want to get cigarettes. They already know what to get for me. They already know. How many you want? Give me one. Whatever. Or whatever it is I normally buy in the store, they know me from coming in there. Okay, I go to a store that sells certain things, dog food and stuff. How many kilos you want? And I tell them how many kilos. They know I'm there for the dog food. Okay. It's like that, familiarity stuff where you are a good customer to them, and they know what you're there for. They know exactly what you're there for. So that kind of works really well. So, yeah, my level of comfort, I would say an 8 out of 10. I would say my level of comfort in the Philippines. Yeah, they do have laws out here that might piss people off a lot, but, again, it's not your country. So I was listening to Mike's Philippines, retirement, whatever he is. And he was just lollygagging about, this place to be, and you got to watch for this. And, of course, he touched upon something that's been touched upon about a zillion times. Don't come here. It's obvious stuff. I mean, don't come here. And I think a lot of us have done that, including myself in the beginning until I woke up. But then I learned, sure, I came with gifts in hand when I went to meet this one gal that I had a serious interest in. Oh, absolutely. I didn't spend a lot of money, though. That was a good thing. But nevertheless, I came with gifts in hand when I met the family. And, we stopped off at the supermarket to get some food to make some adobo. I said, well, can your mom make me some adobo? Okay, so it was pork, but I ate it. She ate a lot of pork. I'm not a pork person, but so he's kind of rambling on about all that stuff, and it's like a lot of people have this attitude, foreigners, that they're here and they don't want anybody else to move here. Well, that ain't gonna, that's not gonna stop, and you're gonna not make them stop, because you had a miserable experience and you built a house on land that never even belonged to the person that sold you it. Well, you got to do your research. Or a contractor that never finished the job. Even Paul in the Philippines, he got fucked over on that. And numerous people in Dumaguete, and I got to say Dumaguete because that should be the pronunciation of the name, Dumaguete. Okay, hello, William's back. Ah, panties and perfume. Evening, Frank. Evening to you, the man who calls himself William Abrams. And of course, I know that's not your real name, but your handle. I'll accept that. You haven't come on here to attack me so far, so you're all good. You're all good, Mr. Abrams, like Abraham. All right, all right. What would you guys actually do without me? Seriously. There's nothing out there. There's nothing. Well, that's not true. There's a lot of good YouTube channels out there. They may not be in the Philippines, and some of them are. I mean, forget about people like Philippine Antics and stuff like that. I mean, this is a chick that, walked into a drugstore with a supposed bomb. She's doing a YouTube show. I don't know, man. Go fucking figure, man. Go figure. Hello. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, man. Where they come from, I don't know. What drives them together in the Philippines genre. I guess if you're living out here, this is your outlet. And to be all fair about this, in a sense, it's a good outlet, but it's just a matter of time. No matter how good your channel is and how good your information is, somebody's going to attack you from somewhere, like a hungry fucking shark. I was just reading some shark stories on recent attacks, actually, in over in Egypt and some other places. Whoever says sharks don't attack, I mean, I know a lot about sharks. You would be surprised how much you know about sharks. I'm not a marine biologist, but it was an endeavor of mine when I was younger. But, the chemistry, or the math involved was just, not good. Let's just say I didn't continue. And my ear didn't allow me to dive. So that's the end of that story. I could have been another Bruce Lee too, right? Yeah, right. But I never continued martial arts. So, well, that's the story. Not much to say about either one of them, But there are things that prevent you from doing certain things that you want to do, like, living a life and getting a job to pay your rent. Sure, I went to school, I studied photography, I most certainly did. I did get a degree. Didn't wind up in my profession, at least as a career. But, I had moved, and where I moved to in Seattle, I mean, that really wasn't a happening place at the time to find like a full-time job doing photography, because there's a lot of people doing that shit. Mostly wedding crap and shit I wasn't interested in. Weddings, please, come on. So I had to work. Yeah, I had to work. Yeah, bust my ass. Everything from day labor jobs. When you show up at a place in the morning, and somebody who had projects would say, okay, I need you, and you, I need 5 people. I'd go out. I did a lot of that shit. I did a lot of different odd jobs. I did a lot of jobs that were maybe short term that I just didn't like, or were a little bit, that proved to be a little bit too dangerous. And I've had a few of those things that were dangerous. Underline the word, capitalize it with dangerous, that I got out of, okay? I was smart enough to do it. And I was never a big burly guy. I was kind of burly at one time, yeah, back in Seattle early days. I'd be tossing these freaking bags in a big freighter ship, big as a fucking, football field, in diameter and so forth. Big heavy bags. I forgot what the hell they were. I didn't last long in there, I'll tell you that. We were kind of relaying them back and forth to each other and building them up in sacks and making piles of it. Dusty as hell, dusty, nasty, confined. I've been inside storage tanks that are meant for fuel, putting precrete, lining it with precrete. So don't ever tell me I didn't work hard. Christ, some of the jobs I had, even derusting ships, I mean, cleaning out the fuel tanks, empty fuel tanks, of course, of ships, soaping it down, in there with a freaking flashlight and a bucket of soapy water and a brush. I did a lot of that shit, man. So when somebody says you don't know what work is, you have no fucking idea what the hell you're talking about. None whatsoever. Yeah, I've had some interesting but challenging jobs. Even went to Alaska to do the seafood processing, which was, it was not an easy task, really, considering the hours and the monotony, and all you had time for was to work and sleep, and that was it. So I didn't stay there long either. When I didn't like something, I was out, baby. I was out. Even though I might needed the money, I was out. I will, just like I left a good civil service job. I didn't even get totally vested yet. I left. I left. Moved out, went to Hawaii. Could have stayed there longer to get vested, but I said enough. I didn't want to force myself to do something at that time I did not want to do anymore. I made decisions on my own. Wasn't coerced by anybody to make my decisions. I just did it. I'm impulsive. That's just the way. No, not repulsive. I just want to get impulsive. That's what I did. That's what I still do. I act upon things that I feel are important to do. And I will finish the job, though. I will finish what I start. I always do. That's in me. It's engraved in me, historically. But okay, back to where we were. I'm really surprised I'm even doing another show here. I was just going to try to find a movie to watch here. I just ate. Want to know what I ate? You want to know everything. Yeah? Air-fried chicken quarters with a mixture of sweet and regular mashed potatoes. And she threw some kernel corn inside the potatoes, which was okay. It would have been better if it was cream corn, because I would have been able to eat it a lot better. That's what I had for dinner. Last time I took a shit, well, none of your business. Okay, but getting back to the topic matter. It seems to me that everybody's trying to find a reason for everybody else not to come here. Oh, be careful of this, be careful of that, it's dangerous, it's this, it's that. It's what you make of yourself out here and what you do with yourself out here. In order to get respect, you got to earn respect. That's it. But there are, circumstances that are out of your control where somebody's desperate enough to want to rob you, and they may go further than that in order to rob you, and they may strike you or kill you, knife you, gun you, whatever it might be. Maybe if you look at somebody's woman the wrong way, you might get a beer bottle over your head and get a head full of stitches. Oh, that's never happened to any YouTubers. Anything could happen to you, man. Well, it was yummy, but hey, look, I can't help it, man. I love mashed potatoes. So what my sweetie does, they actually, I like sweet potatoes, but, you want to watch the butter, but I do butter it. But even so, I like to mix it with a little bit of just white mashed potatoes, okay? It just kind of balances out the taste. Now, I can't eat that every day. I'll be fat as a horse, but when you're hungry, you will eat what's in front of you. That's what Filipinos do, but I'm just a little more careful than that. You guys see me eating broccoli in the morning. You see me eating I had broccoli for breakfast. For a little bit of an early lunch today. That was my whole meal. It was broccoli. You can't see something bad about it. I wasn't frying up some pork belly or something like John Blaze or something, who's claiming to be a newfound health freak. No, man. No, I do things the right way. Do I cheat a little bit on this kind of stuff? I absolutely do. So my diet is not perfect, but it's really, really good. And along with my supplementation, there's going to be more. The woman friend we have, who's a partner, who's from Switzerland, living out here, just passed away. I went to a viewing today. I couldn't believe it was him. I don't like to look at dead bodies, but I seemed like I had no problem with it. I didn't seem to have a problem with it. It's something I never wanted to do. I like to remember people when they're alive, not when they're dead. You got a few memories with a friend or something, you remember that, but you remember them alive and talking and sharing a story and all that. I prefer that. But I did go there, and I'm not religious, but I did say a few words to him. See you on the other side, Hope you have a good journey, whatever. I said, I wish I would have known you a little bit longer. Now, not being a religious person, but a cautious person, a person who has an open mind, a person who thinks out of the box. Yeah, I took that chance and said that just in case. I'm one of those just in case people. Now, I'm not a religious person, but I got an open mind. Okay, I got an open mind. You got to at least have an open mind about everything, whether there is terrestrials living on our planet that are not the same as us, or there's extraterrestrials that visit our planet. Why not? You got to be pretty arrogant to think that that's not a possibility. With the gazillion galaxies out there, we're the only planet that's going to have life forms on it. Come on, get fucking real. That's arrogance beyond belief. That's arrogance, and it's also stupidity. How could you not believe there's other life forms out there? How could you not? All right, how about Bigfoot? Well, I'm a 50-50 on that. And the reason I am is because it's like if there exists, then they do a pretty damn good job of hiding the dead bodies of their family units. And maybe they're just good at that. I don't know. And how we're infringing on the forest now makes me wonder, how any of them survive at all, or how more has not. So yeah, I'm a little skeptical, but I think the Native Americans believed in that. I don't think they have any reason to make up a story of Sasquatch, and I just don't think they have a reason to make up a story. They truly believe in that. And if you go to Washington State, you will see some diners off the highway in the mountains. They got a big statue of Sasquatch. The Native Americans all believe in Sasquatch, along with other nations across the United States and British Columbia and so forth. All these they all believe in Sasquatch, and they call it by other names. Bigfoot, there's a lot of different names they call it. You just have to have an open mind, and a lot of people just don't have an open mind about anything, about the future, about how they're wasting their time. I'm not going to go into long speeches on this, because this is what I talk about on almost all my shows. How people don't appreciate the life they have. Now, people just follow the cattle. They don't have an open mind about anything. And I do mean about just about anything. Broaden your horizons. Think out of the box of the possibilities out there. Some people believe that when they see any kind of shadow figures, it has to do with time relativity. And that what you're seeing is actually something of the future or past, but they can't be seen because they could be a couple of seconds off your real time on this planet as a human breathing being, and therefore you're not going to see the full image of them. You see maybe a shadow. And Dave looked into this. I mean, this is science. This is something that people are paying attention to. I don't know if you want to call it time, relativity of time, or whatever, but whatever scientific terminology that they'll use for this, yeah, I believe that's possible too. It's mathematics, it's science, and not just biology. Okay, so while I'm mouthing off here on this stuff, let me just return and then I'll get off here. A lot of people are downing the Philippines so much. I mean, I don't want everybody from every other country to move here. I did not. Maybe some of you like it, but I didn't come here to be around foreigners. I'm very selective who I want to associate with. No, it has nothing to do. They don't want to associate with me. There's a lot of people very open to associate with me. I've been invited many times to foreigners' homes. I'll come up with an excuse. There's only 1, 2, 3 foreigners that I'll deal with out here, and they know me well. My neighbor. There was this guy that just died. There's another guy, and there's another guy. But people all know me, and I don't have to hang at their house and have a beer, and I don't drink anyway. I don't hang around the bars, so I don't give a shit about the bars. Okay, so that's that. But am I happy with my life out here? I would have to say yes, and I would say 8 out of 10, to be honest with you, 8 out of 10. I can't give you a 10, being the most perfect place to live, because there's a lot of gorgeous, wonderful, beautiful places in the world. And I'm not fortunate enough to have traveled around the world like some people are able to do. It was very limited for me, but you know, I still could look and read and see videos and you know, build up my own information about places from reading about it, seeing it on internet, places that I haven't been to. I know that Japan is not a good place to go to because people are basically in their own world that they don't really they come home from work and they go back in their house and sometimes you're a foreigner on the street and they do this to each other. My understanding that they don't sometimes even acknowledge you, you know, Kanoshima, whatever. They'll just greet you and that's it. And they kind of go on their way. They're very sensitive people when it comes to honor and a lot of suicide. They have a forest. They call it the suicide forest out there, and I forgot what part of Japan that's in. That's where people go to hang themselves. And they actually hired somebody in the park system to go around and collect the bodies. I'm not kidding. They jump off buildings because success to a Japanese man, especially, is really a big thing. They don't want to dishonor their family. Honor is a big thing, I understand, in Japan. It's a very big, big thing. He just came back from a year in Thailand. Philippines is my home now. Well, good for you, William Abrams. Good for you. It's not a bad place. Look, everybody has bad experiences of some sort at some time. If it happens to be you happen to be living in a particular country. I've had bad experiences living in America. There's some things you can't get away from or just accidentally happen or, that you don't expect. That's why it's called an accident. Or maybe just you put yourself in a bad situation you shouldn't have been in or been anywhere near or involved yourself. And, well, that happens anywhere. That happens anywhere. So chalk it up to that. Shit happens, like they say, shit happens. I don't know who came up with that, but someone should have engaged in a copyright on that. Shit happens. It's just like the smiley face. No one made money on that, the happy smiley face. And the happy birthday song, which is universal. Universal. Can you imagine that? People didn't capitalize on that. Especially in a capitalist country. They capitalize on anything. A piece of lint, if they can make money off a piece of lint. And they do. They get enough pieces of lint together. They can make shawls. They can make sweaters. They can whatever they do. Make 3-inch carpets, like they do in the Philippines. Little 3-inch carpets. Yeah. Whatever. Whatever floats your boat and makes some money to survive. I'm all for it. I give credit to the guys in the streets and women that walk around with a case of bottles of water on their shoulder, going to the taxi cabs and other people. What they're doing is absolutely wonderful. They're doing something. They're not out there robbing you to make money. Be it that they're not making shit, but it's better than making nothing and they're doing something that's honest. They're selling water bottles to people. You get it for a certain price or somebody puts them in the field to do it. I'll give you so much for each bottle, a couple of pesos or whatever. He's making money. He's not doing anything wrong. And I know a lot of people look down their nose at some of the things that people in the Philippines do. It's not your country. You can't make you can make a judgment, but not the kind of judgment where you're looking down at them necessarily. I mean, there's times I've gotten pissed off at kids asking me for money, and I verbalized it. But, like enough is enough. Go get a job. And that was the funniest thing I ever said is, go get a job. They recorded that too. Go get a job, kid. Go get a job. Yeah. Well, you know what? They had a job. And somebody was probably hiring them to go around begging for money. They have to turn their money in. Not all of them. But the ghastliest thing that I experienced in the streets was you seen these little kids, man. And they were huffing, man. They had glue in a bag or something. They were breathing that shit in. They were like 6 years old to 10 years old, man. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. The first time I seen that. Can't believe what they were doing, man. And, the law don't step in, nothing. And I don't know, man. So yeah, there's bugaboos about this country. There certainly is. There's bugaboos about every damn country. If you're expecting a perfect country, then maybe get along with some of the big boys in space technology. See if you'll be a guinea pig for them and put you up in some kind of a shelter on the fucking moon or Mars or something. You can get away from the planet. Good luck with that. Would you ever want to leave the Earth if you could? Well, you got to find a planet that has an atmosphere. But you don't know what else is there. Dinosaurs, crazy aliens. You don't know what the hell is there. I've seen that in Manila Street, kid gangs. Yeah, isn't that something, man? Brisket? Yeah, I couldn't believe these little kids doing that shit. I mean, I can't see anybody doing that shit. They've been doing that for fucking century, But to see these little kids doing that, it's like, where's their parents, man? Do they know they're on the street doing that kind of shit? They could die from that. It'll affect their brain. But, hey, the song, if I ruled the world, every day would be the first day of spring, and so forth and so on. I don't rule the world. I don't make the rules. I try to follow them. And, like John Blaze likes to say, it is what it is. I can't save the world. I can only save a little part of my world. Yeah. William Abrams says, I steer clear of street kids. Yeah, I try to avoid them, but sometimes you can't. No, it actually does get irritating sometimes. Now I just say no. If they don't understand me, I'll talk in a language and say no. I don't want to be bothered. I'm not interested in hand towels. I'm not, whatever. I expect every time I'm in the big city, it happens. And you got, of course, the pregnant, homeless women. They all got the infant in their arms and another kid or two on the side of them. And it's a sad sight to see. It makes you wonder how they got into that situation, why they were having children. Well, I can answer that question because they don't practice safe sex out here. It's the last thing on your mind if you're homeless. Oh, gee, I got to practice safe sex. I'm going to buy some birth control pill. But it is available. These things are available. I think there are clinics that probably could give this out for free to women, birth control pills. But, people are either responsible or they're not. But when you're down and out on the streets, the last thing you need, and you can't barely feed yourself, the last thing you need is to have any children. It's not fair for the children, nor is it fair on an extreme age gap to have some old coot, 80 years old, going out with a 19-year-old girl and pregnant her. Now, we've never heard of that, have we? That's wrong. That's wrong. Totally wrong. The kid is going to grow up without a dad. It's wrong. And I do feel it's wrong, but it's predictable that homeless women will get pregnant. Prostitutes get pregnant. Daddy disappears, though. Like Daddy Brevis impregnated another gal, and unfortunately for the child wound up dying. Did he help with the funeral? Did he help her out at all? That's a good question. Never talks about it. Not the girl he's with. He has a kid with, but there was another girl that I think while he was seeing his girl got her pregnant. That's what a swell guy Brevis is. Yeah. He's a real swell guy. He's a swell stalker is what he is. But with that being said, the Philippines is what you make of it. You can hear every story in the world out there about how bad it is here. There's bad on every corner, everywhere you go in the world. You're not going to get away from bad. Try to steer yourself into the good. Don't piss people off. Okay? Don't fuck their girlfriends, their wives. Okay? Don't use a woman for sex and abuse her and she gets pregnant and you run away. Little things like that. Little things like that. Good way of getting killed. Tell you that. You piss somebody off bad enough, you get a bottle on their head or a stone or a stick or a baseball bat. Well, that never happens in the Philippines. That's never happened to any YouTubers, has it? That's questionable. I think you'll get my point very well. Now I'm really stuffed. The bad thing about mashed potatoes is don't put a good sized bowl around me. Please don't do that. Because I'll probably eat that all, then I'm going to get a really puffed up stomach, you know. You just can't put mashed potatoes around me. You just can't. Sorry, but you just can't. My weakness, potatoes, if it tastes good, if it's done well. I can mash them, bash them. I'll eat them fried. I'll eat them, you name it, mashed, boiled, baked. You name it. I like potatoes. Not the best thing to eat in your diet all the time, but if it's there and you got nothing else, I guess you'll eat it. Flavor that puppy up with garlic or onion, whatever you want to do that. Those babies, those bad boys, potatoes. Am I making people hungry now? Yeah, but actually I got to get off in a few minutes here though. But yeah, everybody, trying to get everybody to leave the Philippines. I'm going to get you deported, motherfucker. Yeah, I bet you'd like that. I wouldn't bank on it. But getting beyond that little slip, live your life and live your own life. Live it well, live it clean, and remember that Filipinos take things very personally. This is a good hint. They're very sensitive people. You may have certain slang from your Western culture that they don't get, that they don't understand. They may think that you are insulting them. They don't understand our slang. They don't. Watch what you say. Now, they also don't like loudmouths. Okay, you got something to say, you're in the streets. I don't know, may something piss you off or something. You can't be walking down the street yelling. People don't take to that. They don't want to take to you after that either. Just don't do that. You know? Oh, by the way, I was going to put on here, but I figured I'd get a copyright. And I guess it wouldn't matter if I did get a copyright. It wasn't Saturday Night Live. What was it? Jim Carrey was doing a Jerry Seinfeld impression. It was a little skit, whatever. And they had a guy that looked like George. He really did a good job. And they're approaching these two black gentlemen in a really bad area of town. And these guys are kind of slapping each other high fives and all kind of different hand signals. And of course, Jerry, which is Jim Carrey, does a wonderful job in making an impression of Jerry Seinfeld. And he's talking to, it's like, you know, it's like they didn't exist. They're right over there, right next to the guys. And Jerry, supposedly, is talking to George. It's like these people don't hear him. And they do that throughout that series anyway, about the real series. You know, it's like behind a one-way screen or something, you know. And they'll make these comments in front of people all the time on that show. But on this little skit, it was George and Jerry, not the real ones, but did a great job imitating. And it was funny. I was going to put that on, and I just couldn't get it on the, I was trying to do just a little piece of that, and I couldn't get it to the right timeline on there. Then I thought, well, you know, probably be a strike or something on there, so I didn't do it. But if you got the time, go on Google, actually go on YouTube, not Google, and look up Jim Carrey's Seinfeld. It wasn't Saturday Night Live, I think it was something else. But look up Jim Carrey's Seinfeld skit or whatever, and you'll find it. And I think you're going to find this to be one of the funniest things you could ever see. So if you want to take my advice tonight, you want to have a really good laugh, check this out. And by the way, that Jim Carrey, he's an amazing guy. He's really amazing. I've never seen anybody do imitations like this guy. Never mind Rich Little from the past. This Carrey can do expressions with his face, everything. And he's just so good at that. Does Clint Eastwood really good? He does a lot of people. it's fun to watch him doing that. But he got Seinfeld down. He just got him down. That was, you would think that was Jerry Seinfeld he was doing. How could anybody have not ever watched the Seinfeld show either? I mean, how could you not? I think that was the funniest show on TV, other than maybe Archie Bunker. All in the Family. I think that probably was second in line to me. Um, let's see. I liked Frasier. And maybe because I related, because I lived in Seattle. It was supposed to take place in Seattle, which it wasn't, but, the backdrop and all that. I think that was kind of funny, him and his brother. I've had a lot of pleasure listening to or watching the Seinfeld shows. Okay, listen, I'm out of here. When the dialogue stops, I'm out of here. So I don't mind talking, but I don't know if I'm like your lullaby to get sleep or whatever it might be. I bet you have maybe nothing to share what I'm talking about, but it is time for me to get off here. I'm going to relax. And speaking of television or whatever, I'm going to watch. If I could find something I haven't watched, which is kind of hard on here. I think I spend more time surfing Netflix or YouTube on TV than I do actually watching a movie. When all gets bad, I may find a disaster movie, a sci-fi movie or something that I've already seen maybe 3 times or more. If nothing else is on, and if it was good enough, it's worth watching. Meg 1 and Meg 2 was okay, if you want to watch that. Sharks Under Paris, I think that was the name. That was pretty good too. Um, if you like documentaries, there's plenty of them out there. I find a lot of interesting ones. You don't have to go to all the bullshit on the Philippines vlogging genre. There are worthwhile things to see on there. If you can't find a movie on there, go see the documentaries. You know, there's so much good shit. And if you like the Philippines a lot, they have plenty of stuff on. What choices to make. All right, man.